This goes out to all my young followers. If you're in Chicago, you know that we have a parade here called the Bud Billiken Day Parade. Bud Billiken is a cartoon character. We don't have a black anything parade to pay homage to those before us. So what they did through the Defender newspaper, which was one of the first black-owned newspapers that used porters to, to deliver the newspaper to Southern blacks that were moving their way north in order for jobs. That newspaper happened to be owned by one of my family members. Again, this is your world. There should be no reason why there's an Irish parade, there's a Polish parade, there's a gay parade, there's a Mexican Day parade, but there's no black parade. Again, Bud Billiken is a cartoon character that was conceived by the owner of the Defender, Robert Abbott. My cousins are his great-grandchildren. And because Chicago is so segregated and it's very racist, he wanted to have something that black children could look forward to. And it's usually done at the end of August as a back-to-school celebration for the children. It's time for you all to demand that in every city, every state, that just as those that immigrated here are able to celebrate their ancestors, their heritage, that you future generation need to demand with your politicians, those who are thirsty for your votes, your alderman, your congressional representative, that there is something in place that the young are able to celebrate and able to know where they come from. Unfortunately, here in Chicago, whenever they have the parade, it ends up in Washington Park, and it usually ends up in casualties where someone decides to start shooting and innocent kids, mothers, sons get shot down. We can't even get together to celebrate those before us, for our children to know those before us. There is a movie by Anne Rice on YouTube, free of charge, called A House Divided. She also has another movie regarding slavery. In that movie, you'll understand the amount of black blood in you and how you were categorized from mulatto to quadroon and on, and how the slave masters' children were treated, dressed, and were able to walk around as free men because of the amount of white blood that they had in them. Anne Rice is an author out of Louisiana, and I encourage everyone to go down to New Orleans. A lot of your history is right there in New Orleans. Yes, there's a lot of Christianity, and there's still a lot of people that still celebrate voodoo. If you look up voodoo and the pale man's description of it, you would think that it's something evil. People can make Christianity evil by praying that someone gets hurt or someone loses something, or as they're doing now on YouTube, doxing people, putting all their information out, their phone numbers, calling their jobs, making people lose their jobs. That's not us. But again, New Orleans holds a lot of secrets. Once you seek, you definitely will find. So Google Anne, A-N-N-E, Rice, R-I-C-E, and watch the 2 movies. I do know one is A House Divided. Right now, if you go to the dictionary, they do not have the breakdown that was used during slavery and after emancipation, where they categorized a black person by the amount of white blood that they had within them. Don't let your future slip out of your hands. Don't let the gossip that goes on YouTube take your minds. Every 10 years, a generation changes. And that change is more advanced than the 10-year generation before them. So you all have the minds of genius. You all are tech savvy. You all can basically build your own computers, master all of these video games. And if you can master those, you can master anything. I want you to see what my dogs are doing. See, this is what's gonna happen to Club Chat. Hey, hey, hey! Not again. Not again. No more fighting. Come here, Sly. Come on. Get now. See, this is what's gonna happen to Club Chat. See, one of them is gonna get very, very jealous. And they already doing it now. They humping on each other. They humping on each other when they around the cane, or they get on live with the cane, because somebody is trying to show dominance over who's gonna be the head bitch next to the bitch Sean. And when that happens, you see her forehead, you see her neck, you see how hard she fought. And that fight is not going to be anything nice. It's going to happen. 2 women cannot live together, let alone be in a club, without one fighting to be the head bitch in charge. And I really hate calling women bitches. Because the true bitch is a dog, a female dog. There is no derogatory name for a man. So I hate to call women bitches because I don't like reducing them to that of a female dog. But the same way that this one fought the other one outside, the same thing is going to happen with Club Chat. And Sean is not going to be able to handle them. That someone is going to get hurt very, very bad. Just want you to take a good look. And this fight happened over a week ago. And look at her neck. Because they go for the throat. No matter how small in stature she is, she's going to jump and go for the throat. And that's exactly what's going to happen with all those females over there in Club Chat. With a gay man being the head, who can't be the head of his own foster children, who can't be the head of his own home, who couldn't be head enough to hold on to his home, that he had to file bankruptcy and get another home. This man is a veteran. It is easy for a veteran to get a home than it is for your average person out on the street. There's so much benefits for vets that they basically give them homes. So how can a man who says that he was in the Army and that he's a veteran not be responsible enough to take advantage for serving a pale man's war? That he is not responsible enough to keep a house that's basically given to them. You young ones, take this platform over. Please don't call each other bitches, niggas. Don't reduce yourself to that. Those before you had no choice. A man was a boy, no matter how old they were. You 70 years old, you was a boy. And if you didn't answer when they called you boy, you got beat down. Nigga applies to any race. That just means an ignorant person. A person of ignorance that doesn't know any better. And it behooves me that we have stooped to this level of making videos of one another and using the words that were used against your grandparents and their parents. That the youth got tired and they finally stood up, which is why you have the rights that you have now. Again, you all are the freedom fighters. Fight for your freedom. Fight for equality. Fight against racism. Fight for equal pay, man or woman. Start looking at the blaxploitation movies. Claudine was one of them. Superfly was purposely put out at a time when the black man was at his weakest, and they allowed a film to be made to show a black man wearing fur coats, driving a Cadillac, selling cocaine, making that fast money, killing his own people, that every teenager that saw that movie, after they saw that movie, they wanted to be Superfly. That was really when the drugs started infesting the black community. Then they allowed the movie The Mac, who was a pimp. So to be a teenager or a young one and to watch someone come from nothing by pimping women and having his top. And in case of Club Chat, it seems like Leo the Lioness is the top. And all the rest of them are the bottoms. That means they go out and they work for the money, while the top lay back and only work when it's needed. Start Googling. And I really don't believe in Google because, again, it was written by the Pale Man. And they're only going to give you so much information. That's why they track everything that you do. They track your location. They track your activity. They track what you're watching. Everything you do on this six-headed beast is being tracked. Before they take this history away from you, record it with another phone because they're deleting it. There's a content creator, The Real Yvonne. If you want to really know what is going on in this world, what is being planned, what has been in place since the early 70s that is now coming to fruition, I would highly recommend that you watch The Real Yvonne. She has a YouTube channel and a Patreon channel. That there's so much deception going around and so much distraction, and they're allowing all this fuckery to go on YouTube to keep you distracted. It's nothing but a tool to distract you from what is happening in the world. Pay attention. Pay very close attention. It's not called being paranoid. It's called watching and having your eye open to see. Question why tanks, military tanks, were rolling down the highway of every state. Why all of them were dressed in uniforms. Where were they going? What were they training for? We're not in war now. Every armory that you used to be able to visit that stored tanks and planes and things that were used in previous wars, those armories have been closed down now. Question why some of the Walmart stores have been closed down, but yet they're digging underground tunnels. Watch Dick Gregory. They're slowly taking all of his videos down. I met Dick Gregory here in Chicago 2 weeks before his death, and he was in perfect health. Dick Gregory happened to be an elder who knew a whole lot of things. There was also a program on YouTube called The Obama Deception. I don't know if it's still there or if they've removed that from YouTube. But the entire documentary was schooling you on how Obama was planted in Chicago. I've lived here all my life and never heard of him. How in 1995, when he was attending Harvard, how they were grooming him to become president. Your presidents are selected, not elected. I'm not telling you not to vote. But when it comes to running this country, it's ran by the Rockefellers and the Rothschild. Whenever you go to a bank, pay attention. It says FDIC insured. FDIC is not regulated by anyone. It is a separate entity of powerful men who run this country. That's why if the banks ever go broke, if you have $10 million in the bank, they're only responsible for giving you up to $250,000 back. Again, it is not regulated by anyone. Those that live in Atlanta, there's a monument called Stonehenge. It is written in every language around this world. On this piece of stone or 3 stones made like Stonehenge, it says to keep the population no more than 500 million, to treat each other with love and care, to look out for your fellow brother. And to this day, no one knows who erected the Stonehenge, who funded it. But we all know that the United States has become overpopulated. That is the reason why I recommended Purge 2013. They hide nothing from you. Absolutely nothing. It's those that can pick up on the messages that they're sending out. It's even in The Simpsons. Everything that happened played out in a cartoon either a year or 2 years before it happened. From the towers in New York being hit by planes to Donald Trump being elected president. Nothing is hidden from you. You just have to pay attention to your surroundings, to things that are changing, how they're changing. Here in Chicago, you youth cannot be with more than 4 people. If the police see 4 or more, you're automatically arrested for disorderly conduct, even though you haven't done anything. I want to apologize for not doing enough to help shape this world so it would be better for you. So please accept my apology, because there's much more that I could have done. My house serves as a safe house for those that are straggling the fence. These streets here don't love you. We're dealing with between 35 and 40 shootings a day, with at least 4 to 8 dead. This is every day. For the 4th of July, 2 years ago, there was over 100 shootings where neighborhoods had to be closed down, where army tanks had to be bought in. And when you think about it, please understand what martial law is. We are actually under martial law right now. This world, it's been predicted that the change is going to come. It's not going to be the end of this world. It's going to be the end of the way things are being done. And you, my youth, you hold the key. Protect that key and use it. Major in politics. Major in economics. Stop trending with what you see your rappers, the ones that they pull from the poorest neighborhoods, and then give them contracts to rock their gear. That whole Fendi was a distraction. That earthquake that happened in California. Look up HAARP. HAARP. Man is able to control the weather. Look up CERN. CERN. Where 3 years ago, scientists announced that they found the Godhead, and understand what that meant and what they are capable of doing. The capabilities are to send out sound waves that are geared toward a certain part of your brain that can make you very hostile, or that can make you very lackadaisical. There's 2 CERNs. There's one located outside of Chicago, and it's pointed toward Chicago. And there's another one in France. Understand the Louvre in France, the pyramid, and ask yourself, why is there a glass pyramid in the middle of France? Understand the power of the pyramid. Understand that the Greeks came to Africa to learn from the Africans. That geometry and math and our male kings is like reciting the alphabets. It is genetically in them because we created geometry. We created the abacus, which was used years ago to teach how to do math, how to add, how to subtract. We need more of you all in the school system. we're moving towards chartered schools. Teachers have more leeway into choosing a curriculum. We need more of you all to at least take a class or two in African American history while you're in college, so you can see and hear for yourself how your history has been changed. And then ask yourself, how can one of pale skin teach you about yourself? How can they relate to how you're targeted? It's not just happening here, it's happening all over. Then, if you have a pale-skinned teacher trying to teach you who you are, that's when you use all the tools from books that you studied, written by your own, where you can debate, where you can teach your teacher your truth. But don't let this hate and this gossip and this disrespecting of one another. You young queens are going to one day have queens of your own. You young kings, you're going to be the seed to young queens. Don't allow them to take you out of the house. Treat these queens like you would want your daughter to be treated. And you queens, allow these kings to be exactly what they are, kings. Allow them to be the head. Don't emasculate them. Don't down them. Be the backbone for them. Learn to live in love and always stay in the light. The darkness has nothing good for you. Another book to read is Alice in Wonderland, which was in elementary schools. It has now been taken out. The entire book was about a young girl who took LSD, and the entire story was her hallucinating off of LSD. The rabbit hole is what we are living in today. That was the message of The Matrix. Matrix 1, written by a black woman. The message was supposed to be to black people that you have to dig yourself out of the rabbit hole of dictatorship. And once you get out of that rabbit hole, you begin to see this world for exactly what it is. And you can almost predict what's going to happen down the line. I even bought another copy of Alice in Wonderland and realized that this little girl took something, ate a mushroom, and next thing you know, she's seeing rabbits with hats. She's entered into a whole different world. The Wizard of Oz. Again, it was a message within a message. But again, your mind has to be open. You have to recognize what the message is they're trying to brainwash you with. There's going to be a couple of more books that you may have read while you were in elementary school, some books that you may have read while you're in college. I don't know if they still have debate teams. I would highly suggest that you get on a debate team. And again, my young ones, we need you in politics. We need you before the pale skin gets hold to you and makes all these promises and tells you how high you can be in this world. Obama started off as an advocate that no one in Chicago knew. Your average person in Chicago had never heard of Barack Obama. That Senate seat should have gone to Jesse Jackson Jr. But Obama was the one who was selected. I want you to look at your history and find any junior senator who was given the Nobel Peace Prize and then elected President of the United States. You will not find it. Just like if I hear another YouTube creator say that George Washington had wooden teeth, that's another lie. It's impossible for him to have wooden teeth. He would have had termites and everything else in his mouth. The teeth that George Washington had were teeth that were pulled from slaves. They're on exhibit at the Smithsonian Institute in D.C. But they're still teaching you that George Washington had wooden teeth. No. Whenever his teeth would fall out, because they were not very clean people. The French didn't believe in bathing. So they were not very clean people. So every time he would lose a tooth, they would just pull a slave and pull the tooth from him. So the first bridges or dentures came from slaves. Start knocking down all these lies while you're in college. As a matter of fact, I would homeschool rather than sit up in a classroom and graduate, ending up for the next 10 years of my life attempting to pay off a loan where all I was taught was a bunch of lies. Question the question. Always question the question. Look at events. Why are they taking place? Why did it snow in Africa? It has never snowed in Africa. Understand what HAARP is. Understand what CERN is. Again, Claudine, the Mac, A House Divided. She even wrote the movie that Aaliyah was in, House of the Damned. But in these two movies that she has regarding slavery, it tells you the truth about how black people were categorized by the amount of white blood in them to cause division between the dark skin and the light skin. As more information comes through And after I finish meeting with my Baba and my African mama, I will share that information with you. I still have tons of books, tons of artwork that I want to share with you. But take these gems, put them in a safe place, turn off your TVs, turn off YouTube, be still, meditate, diet right, pineal gland clean, and you too shall begin to see.